What's up, gamers around the world? I'm Spurkus, and well, it's about the time of year where the days go shorter and you are just in the mood of a nice scare and shitting your pants in the process, and also hopefully get some sweaty nightmares in the nights to come. Unfortunately, Halloween nowadays is just as scary as a squirrel with a huge pair of balls. To get you in some really scary mood though, Bethesda and Tango Gameworks pumped out a sequel to the fairly well received The Evil Within from 2014. So is this survival horror with somewhat of an open world another great example for the genre in 2017? Or is it just as scary as a monkey with a huge pair of balls? Let's find out in this Gamers Gages review of The Evil Within 2, available on PC, Xbox One, and like the tested version, on PS4. Be advised that I did not play the original The Evil Within back in 2014. Therefore, this review looks at the game as an individual one and not as the next installment in a series. Let's start with graphics. First of all, the game does a great job with the lighting. Walking through the game can be a true delight, with all those reflections, really beautiful. But that's about it. In general, the graphical performance of the game is average at best, with the textures being a weak spot in many occasions. Some textures seem like they have been taken directly from the previous two console generations. Sometimes they really look awful, damn. Anyways, I do remember that reviews back in 2014 complained about some technical performance issues with The Evil Within. That is luckily not the case anymore with The Evil Within 2. The game runs completely stable on my PS4 Pro. I barely had any technical or graphical issues at all. That being said, the main issue was that enemies on a couple of occasions got somehow stuck in the environment, which kinda broke the purpose of those enemies. The frames per second are locked at 30 FPS on consoles. There is no special mode for the PS4 Pro really, and I guess the same can be said for the Xbox One X. Sure, on PC there is no FPS limit, but do not expect any technical wonders there. But of course, issues happen more often if you play around in the open world. If you focus on the main story, things are much better and you actually don't have time to notice the flaws. Simply because those levels and areas are beautifully designed and there are even 2 to 3 breathtaking moments. Oh, and yeah, there's also so much freaky, fucked up stuff going on. You have to cope with what you see first. Graphics overall, stable, but average. Now let's get over to audio, and damn, this is where the game really gets out its A-game. It's incredible. With one exception though, it's the voiceovers. I don't know why Japanese games have such a hard time to get the voiceovers right. It's just for me that it often kind of felt out of place. But then again, it's just subtle and you kind of get used to it. And don't get me wrong, the voiceovers overall are fairly good, just again out of place.
And why are you here now, damn it?
You didn't find me because they didn't want you to. Calm down, Sebastian.
You sound just like that psychologist the Force shoved down my throat. But he didn't have answers. You do. You're gonna tell me about Mobius.
Okay, to the good stuff. The sound makes the most of the game because it just manages to create an atmosphere where it just makes you feel uncomfortable. With groans and crackling sounds that are coming around the corner or behind a house or a bush or a car. And then for some reason the enemy is not where you expect them to be. That is when you get that oh shit moment, and don't get me wrong, that was almost my mistake. The game does an excellent work in locating the sounds. It's not misleading, no, it is spot on. I remember in an early stage of the game where I did not really keep much of a good eye on the zombies, the game was quiet and didn't really make many sounds until I turned the camera around and spotted a zombie coming around the corner. Out of a sudden, a loud groan comes out, the music changes from sneaking to fucked up action, and all hell is breaking loose. Perfect. And that is just one of the many situations where you hear one thing but cannot see it. And you are afraid to go forward, but you kind of have to because, well, what else is there to do? But then you also are likely to die because you're not really prepared. And the music, man, there were so many times where I thought, what is going on now? Why is the music like this? Why did it change? But actually I just misinterpreted it and it just added to the atmosphere. And those were the moments where I actively realized that I was scared of the game. Just because the music changed, I was like, what the hell is going on? Although nothing really scary was going on, just the music. The game creates a great tension, and that is mostly done by the simply excellent audio. Moving on to gameplay. And there are definitely two sides of that coin. So, we are playing Sebastian Castellanos, trapped in a small town with some freaky zombies, the strangest of creatures and the craziest of individuals. This small town is chopped up in different sections where you can move around freely. Also, these sections are connected together through a tunnel system, so basically we have an open world here. But there are also plenty of sections where you are forced to walk in a confined space filled with zombies and you cannot really avoid them. Of course, often you can also sneak around and go past most of them, and it's these small locations and story sections that are truly scary. The Evil Within 2 does have an open world, but does not really manage to create the formula for a scary open world. Sure, I died most of the times in the open world compared to the story sections, but those deaths were often, calculated risks, and I took them anyways, and then I died anyways. This is what happens. You can ignore most zombies in the open world and focus on the story. But by killing zombies, you get gel that you can then use to get new skills. So this is more like experience points. And believe me, getting new skills changes the gameplay a lot. You can often feel the change with every skill you get. Also, looking around the open world, you can find things like bullets and medkits or scrap parts, so you can improve your weapons, so you can survive longer and easier, especially if you find a new and better weapon. And you are going to need bullets in some boss fights, so you're kinda driven to clear out at least sections of the map and take what you can. Sure, the open world creates some heart-stopping moments here and there, and here and there also scary, but mostly it is just a game stretcher. One reason is because your fire weapons are just so weak. Even on the lower difficulty, you need more than 1 or 3 bullets in the head to take some types of zombies down. Compared to that, the sneak attack is very powerful. Also, the fact that zombies follow the same pattern when they don't see you kinda makes sneaking the favorable choice. So, to save ammunition, you end up sneaking up on zombies and taking them out one by one, and run away when they spot you. And if you get hurt, you go back to the safe house to drink some coffee to heal yourself for free. That being said, sneaking around is a lot of fun, and it's great to take out a group of zombies unnoticed and move on flawlessly to the next encounter. Also, Sebastian is pretty sluggish and the field of view is very narrow. This sure gives some more tension, but ends up more annoying than anything else if you die because of that and not because of your own mistakes. Also, the fact that at least on the PS4 90% of the actions are done with the damn X button often make you do things that just don't make any sense. You end up being spotted, your ambush doesn't really work out, or in the heat of the moment, instead of kicking the zombie out of the way so you can escape, Sebastian just stands around like an idiot and gets killed. The gameplay and controls are designed for a slow gameplay, and in that they work really great. But when it starts getting faster because, well, the zombies are running at you and trying to kill you, that's when the control often just don't work anymore. Overall, the gameplay is clearly stealth focused and works great, but when the action gets tuned up, things don't go well anymore. So, let's move on to entertainment. And, well, maybe the gameplay section just sounded a bit worse than it actually is, because for a horror game, this is a great piece of work. Sure, Sebastian is sluggish, but that is something that we know from other survival games like Resident Evil. prior to the latest one. And yes, the open world is a game stretcher, but all that sneaking around trying to find a way and hoping that you don't get spotted so you can take them all out, or if you just don't care anymore and just use your guns or any other weapons to take care of a group of zombies because fuck them, and it works out, well, that is very satisfying. Oh, right, there are always things that happen that you just didn't think would happen. There was never really a moment where I could really feel safe in the game. Well, except for the safe houses, but that's in the name. The game makes sure that you know that. It's excellent. Also, as I mentioned, all the improvements that you can get, being it the skills for Sebastian or the upgrades for the weapons, you can really feel how you got better. And if all hell is breaking loose, you just try to get the hell out of there. It does give you the right feeling, and the atmosphere is perfect for a survival game. And in this case, I count shitting your pants as a positive entertainment factor, and in that, it is just spot on. So now to a spoiler-free evaluation of the story. While this is spoiler-free for The Evil Within 2, this review and the game itself contains spoilers for the original The Evil Within from 2014. So if you want to play that first, you might want to skip ahead. Alright, in The Evil Within 2, we once again play as Sebastian Castellanos, the main character from the first game. And he has retired as a cop because he had problems coping with everything fucked up that happened during the first game. Things did not go better really, since his daughter died in a fire and his wife left him. So Sebastian is drowning himself in alcohol, trying to find some answers and solutions there, because, well, that's the place where to find them. But then he gets approached by his former partner, Kidman, and she tells him that his daughter is actually very much alive and kidnapped by Mobius, the evil corporation that Kidman is working for. They are using his daughter to create a virtual world, you know, just like a fucked up version of the one you see in the Matrix movies. Basically, Mobius tries the same thing like in the original game in 2014, but now instead of using a psycho, they are trying an innocent child. I mean, that makes total sense, right? Anyways, things went wrong in the experiment and everything has gone to shit. And for some reasons, they just cannot pull out those people from this virtual world, or they would all die. And if you die in the virtual world, you also die in the real world. So yeah, long story short, Sebastian's daughter is in danger, so he agrees to help Mobius to clean up their mess. Oh man, alright. So that already makes a lot of sense, right? It gets better because it's a virtual world, so the craziest things just happen there, which are to some extent really cool, and more than once you just sit in front of the screen and think, what the hell is going on? That is actually really nice. But unfortunately, it gets a bit ruined because the game often doesn't give you any explanation for those events at all. In fact, they mention a couple of times that you don't have to know or care about those things, just accept it.
You really want me to waste your time talking a bunch of technical gibberish?
And that pissed me off because it seemed more like lazy writing and nothing else. On the other hand, the characters in the game and the development of Sebastian and how he tries to get to his daughter, the bond between him and her, the guilt that he has because he thought that she was dead, but in fact she was very much alive and must have been really scared being forced to work for Mobius without her parents. Right there, they pulled out, in fact, some really great writing. We actually have a very unique and engaging story for a horror game, and there are actually more adjectives that I would like to use to describe the story, but that might actually spoil it. And I've got to say, I really enjoyed the ending as well, really incredible, and that's a rare thing in games nowadays. Great stuff. So overall, the story is actually very good for a horror game because they put some thoughts into the characters and it is really engaging, but here and there some more explanations would have been nice to describe more about what the hell happened. Oh, and there are also a number of side quests that you can just do and they're actually meaningful. And also there are twisted versions of audio logs, which they call resonances, that also add up to the whole atmosphere and feeling that was going on, giving you some explanations that add to the atmosphere, but if you miss them, you don't really miss much.
Fuck them. Let them fend for themselves.
Let's move over to the verdict. Should you buy it, skip it, or wait for it? Well, simply put, if you are looking for a horror game, this is a buy. Simple as that. Sure, the game has its flaws like average graphics and the cumbersome controls, but overall this is a great horror game. And as such, I can recommend to buy The Evil Within 2 pretty much without hesitation. Also, if you have not played the original title from 2014, you can play the sequel on its own. The story is clear enough, though as it looks from playing the sequel, the first game must have been a fun ride as well. The story is engaging, the atmosphere is spot on, the tension is getting real, and the story is just a delight. Sometimes crazy, but because of that, it's really good. Oh yeah, and did I mention the story? Also, due to the open world, you get like 17 or 20, or if you're doing a completionist run like me, 30 hours, depending on your playstyle and difficulty. Sure, the open world mechanic is not without its flaws, but there are also many enjoyable moments because of it. But more quality over quantity would have been better for the game itself though. On the other side, we have some cumbersome controls. If you are light-skinned in that regard, you will have your moments where your controller is in danger of flying against the wall or the keyboard is getting smashed. The story can lack some explanations here and there, which are not really crucial to the story, but can leave you standing like a wet poodle. And if you are like me, that can piss you off quite a lot. Also, of course, this is a game that makes you feel tense, if not scared. So if you have problems with horror games in general in the past, then you will definitely have some issues with this game. But that's only good news for the guys who like the horror. But because of the issues in the game, there is no harm in waiting, really. Because the game can indeed get much better and even more enjoyable with future patches. So they will increase the game performance, like unlocking 60 FPS on the Pro or the One X, or also maybe rework the controls. That would be really nice. And except for the controls, I think those patches are quite likely. Just if you choose to wait, make sure that you eventually play it, not like I did with the original The Evil Within from 2014. Alright, that's it for today. If you like this video, well, give it a like. If not, give it a dislike. There's also a subscribe button, so make sure that it's not really red. Feel free to put your spoiler-free thoughts of this review, the game, or my mom in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I see you around. Bye.